Hey guys, Alvin here with another video. Thanks for tuning in. Wow, July 2020 has been an exciting month for cameras, specifically with the recent launch of the Canon R5 and R6. And although these new releases are extremely tempting me to pull out the wallet and purchase one of these cameras, I'm gonna hold off on that for a little bit longer, and I think you should too. So here are 4 reasons why I am personally waiting on purchasing the Canon R5 and the Canon R6. Reason number 1, not enough data. These cameras were recently released and have yet to ship worldwide to the general public. And although there are a plethora of reviews circulating the internet, a lot of these reviews are very early impressions and opinions of a new camera that hasn't yet been fully integrated into the everyday workflow of most reviewers. In the case of these new cameras, everyone is overly excited to test out the specs of the camera and push it to its limits, rather than settling into what the camera was actually made to do well. Now, I do not want to overshadow the current claims of both the R5 and the R6 cameras overheating during use. That is a serious concern, and I frankly would like to see a solution to this. Simply put, a camera that doesn't overheat is better than one that overheats, no doubt about it. But what can happen over time is that people can actually understand what their camera limitations are once they've gotten it fully integrated into their daily workflow. And that's when we really hear if these cameras are truly a no-go or pretty decent machines. Some may be totally fine with the conditions under which the camera overheats. Others, not so much. But giving yourself time to gather enough information will help you to know exactly what you're walking into once you've decided to purchase these cameras. Things can change over time. Remember when the Canon EOS R first launched back in 2018? Many initial reviews weren't the kindest. The camera took a lot of criticism for having shortcomings such as cropped 4K, sketchy eye autofocus tracking, and not having dual card slots like most of the competition. However, if you look back at some of the more updated reviews on an EOS R after it's been in use for a year or so, the narrative has shifted quite a bit. A lot of reviewers had a change of heart of the camera, and many actually opted to use it as their daily workhorse camera. Same with the Canon RP. Once a few updates were released, the camera became a much more appealing option for consumers. That's the beauty of waiting 6 months to a year before buying a new camera, especially if there are some wrinkles to iron out, which leads to my next point. Reason number 2, firmware updates and improvements. If recent history taught us anything, is that firmware updates are likely being developed to further improve or enhance the performance of the R5 and R6. Going back to the EOS R, firmware updates greatly improved the eye autofocus system, and in the case of the Canon RP, 24 frames per second, which previously was not an option during the initial launch of the camera, was added back in. Now, these changes ultimately made both cameras a much more appealing option for buyers and a much needed upgrade for those who already owned one. It's already been rumored that the R5 will likely see updates such as Full HD at 120p, adding a low bitrate mode for RAW and IPB codec in all recording modes, and Canon Log 3. For the R6, updates such as all-eye codec in all recording modes will be added, which for me is pretty exciting news, seeing that the R6 is likely the camera I would opt to buy over the R5. For us to be talking about rumored firmware updates so early after the release date tells me that by the time I get one in my hands personally, it could be a totally different camera from what was initially announced. Reason number 3, competition. Recently, Sony announced their long-awaited A7S III, and so far customers are giving it glowing reviews. If you are in the market for a new camera and are not tied down to a specific camera brand, then this is the perfect opportunity to see what's out there and decide which system works best for you. Having options allows us as consumers to not feel backed into a corner to pick something that may not necessarily work for us due to lack of options. In the case of Canon, the positive reviews of the Sony a7S III could drive Canon to act swiftly to any issues or doubts potential customers may have so that they don't lose sales to the competition. This is a win-win for us consumers. If a better option is out there, we have the luxury of choice. Think about the potential options we could choose from if we can just be a little bit patient, sit back, and wait. And finally, the fourth reason why I'm personally waiting on purchasing the Canon R5 or the R6 is price drops. Now, currently the R6 retails for $24.99 and the R5 retails for $38.99. I can't begin to tell you how often I've benefited off of simply not buying gear as soon as it's released. I mean, it's inevitable that these prices will drop over time. In some cases, I've even seen price drops within the first couple months after product launch. Not to mention, once the cameras start shipping worldwide and being utilized, the market for secondhand purchases, refurbished items, and regret buys begin to grow quite a bit. And this is where you can look up on very good deals. When the Canon EOS R was released back in October 2018, the body alone retailed for $2,300. I was able to score the Canon EOS R back in August 2019, 10 months after the release date, on eBay, brand new, for $1,500. $1,500. That was an incredible deal then and still is to this date. I mean, the current retail price for the EOS R is around $1,800. So I'd say, yeah, I made out pretty good on that deal. Also, to time my previous point, competition can heavily drive price drops. If the R5 and R6 sales aren't doing well because consumers are buying other brands like the Sony a7S III, that could essentially force Canon to offer price incentives to not lose ground to their competitors and keep hold of their current market share. Now I get it. It's tough to sit back and not want to play with the brand new toys. Trust me, I feel exactly the same way. It's extremely tempting. And if price isn't an issue for you, then by all means, go for it. Have fun out there. These are amazing products despite some of the mixed reviews. But if you feel you can hold out a little bit longer, you may find yourself scoring a heck of a deal. So there you have it. Those are my 4 reasons why I've decided it's best to wait on purchasing the Canon R5 or the R6. Thank you so much for watching this video. If you like it. If you love it, sub to the channel, and I'll see you on the next one. Take care.